Hey, Kansas City. Thank you for tuning in to another virtual program. My name is Paul Gutierrez, Director of Programs and Events for the Kansas City Museum. A quick update on the museum. We're working really hard with our leadership team and our staff to reopen the museum as a new museum of Kansas City history and culture heritage. In the meantime, we'll continue with these virtual programs, and my goal is to activate the lawn again this summer with safe outdistance concerts, programs, and events. This program is in partnership with the McNay Museum of Art in San Antonio, Texas. I'm really excited to introduce you to our new friend and colleague, Kate Carey.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Kate. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Paul?
Good. Kate is the head of education at the McNay Art Museum in San Antonio, Texas. And I've been following that museum for a while. Kate, for our audience who do not know about the museum, can you tell them a little bit about it before you start your presentation?
Of course, I'd be delighted to. So the McNay Art Museum is located right in the heart of San Antonio, Texas. And a lot of people from Texas say that you have two hometowns, wherever you were born and San Antonio. And what you're looking at on the screen is the picture of the facade of the McNay. It used to be a home to Marion Kugler McNay, and she gifted the first modern art museum in Texas. So that is that's a little bit of our history. We're founded in 1954 and have been collecting and sharing modern art with San Antonio and beyond since that time.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I'll remind our audience that this program is live. And thanks to One Kansas City Radio, it will be available on a podcast. Also, if you have any questions or comments, just add them to the Dropbox below. And at the end, we'll have Q&A with Kate about the exhibit. So I'm really excited about this program. I love Selena. I grew up listening to her back in El Paso, Texas. I thought it would be a great thing to honor her. Women's History Month just was last month. And here we are celebrating, I believe it's the 26th annual after passing. So Kate, I will have you share your screen and begin your presentation.
Great. Well, like I said, I have the facade of the McNay Art Museum where I work on the screen. Is everybody able to see it? Or Paul, can you let me know?
Yep, that's good.
So it's kind of a Spanish colonial style architecture to the home. There are some modern additions. But last year, and as I mentioned, we're the first modern art museum in Texas, and some of the artists in our collection include Diego Rivera, Pablo Picasso, George O'Keeffe, Elizabeth Catlett, Luis Jimenez, and many, many more. In fact, you're seeing a family here posing on our sculpture terrace in front of the Love sculpture by Robert Indiana. I kind of think this is the favorite selfie spot at the museum because I see so many people taking pictures here. You get a little bit of a snapshot of what we're like, sort of a Spanish colonial home and then a modern addition here. And I got really close on this Selena project last year when I was working on an exhibition entitled Fashion Nirvana, Runway to Everyday. It opened, what did we know back then? But it opened in late January of 2020. You'll see on the screen that we extended it through September of 2020 because it opened really before we knew about COVID-19. But it was designed as a multi-sensory experience. It's rooted deeply in 1990s fashion. We borrowed many ensembles. We collaborated with the University of North Texas, UNT, which is in Denton, and we premiered 60 plus ensembles of 90s fashion. I'll show some examples in just a minute. But one of the things that we were thinking about with this exhibition is we really wanted to show a 90s icon that was specific to our region. And so Selena is the person that really came to mind. And so as we were thinking about 1990s fashion and Texas and San Antonio in particular, we were thinking, how can we make some connections to the celebrity and fashion icon, Selena Quintanilla. So I'm just sharing a couple of things about the Fashion Nirvana exhibition. You'll see on the right of the safety pin, the sort of infamous safety pin dress by Gianni Versace. We had one of those in the exhibition. And I know that the Kansas City Museum has an incredible fashion collection. So I can't wait to see that when I come visit, because as I was looking at these images of Fashion Nirvana, I couldn't help but imagine that there's a lot of similarity in the textiles and garments in your collection. And then, of course, this Todd Oldham sunset dress was also in the exhibition. It was made famous in the film Tu Wong Fu, which is, you'll see on the right of your screen. And then another component to Fashion Nirvana is that we featured 9 video artists. So in the 1990s, video art was really coming into its own. And so Jim Mendiola is a San Antonio video artist, and we included Jim's video Pretty Vacant along with 8 other video artists. So it was fashion and video combined for this exhibition. At the same time, as I mentioned, we got to thinking about 90s fashion icons and really wanted to make a connection to our region of the world. And so we were thinking about all of the iconic fashion moments that Selena pioneered. Here you see her in a photograph with one of those iconic embellished bustier tops, a hat with some floral motifs on it, big gold earrings, a big belt, and boots. And so we discovered that we had a connection to Selena in that a San Antonio photographer, John Dyer, had engaged in 2 photo shoots with Selena, one in 1992, which you're seeing here, and I'll show another example, and one in 1994. So in 1992, Selena, if you're familiar with Selena's career, in 1992, she was really skyrocketing in fame. She had been she had been nominated for a Grammy. She had won all kinds of music awards, and so she's really kind of at the beginning of kind of international recognition, although she was already a very big pop star in terms of in terms of Tejano music circles. But in 1992, I would say kind of at the beginning of international fame. And I think this might be my favorite photo in the exhibition. Here we see her smiling. This is probably the photo that greets you right as you walk in the exhibition. I'll show you an example of what the exhibition space at the McNay looks like.
Okay, question that came in. How big are these portraits or these photographs?
That's a good question. So one of the benefits of working with the artist, John Dyer, with the photographer, was that we could fabricate these photos at the size that we desired. So we actually fabricated them specifically for the exhibition space. Don't quote me exactly, but they're roughly about 60 by 60. The square ones are about 60 inches by 60 inches. So they're pretty, they're pretty substantial as you walk into an exhibition space. So these are very large. This portrait and the one with her wearing a checkered jacket are around that 60 by 60 size. The other thing that we were interested in showing, this editorial process of working with the photographer, she brought in some of the things that she wanted to wear. He had some studio space sort of arranged, and they worked in collaboration with one another. And another decision that we made kind of as a curatorial team, or I was really interested in, was showing all of the elements that let you know it's a photograph. So that cropping that you see is intentional. You see the photo frame. You see sort of those film marking with Kodak on the left. All of that is left in the photo that's on exhibition at the McNay. That was kind of on purpose. And then the artist or the photographer, John Dyer, worked with Selena once again in 1994. These photos were taken at the Majestic Theater in San Antonio. You probably have one of these in Kansas City. It's just a large downtown theater. Used to have films. Now they have different kinds of concerts. I've gone to see Willie Nelson and Loretta Lynn play there. He photographed her a second time at the Majestic in 1994. And at this time, although you can't really see it in her expression, at this time, she has she's won one Grammy Award. She's been nominated for another. She has some name recognition. In fact, I think she has worked right before these photos were taken. I think she was working on a Coca-Cola campaign, advertising campaign. So she has really kind of skyrocketed in terms of her career. And these photos that John took in 1994, I don't think were published until after her death in Texas Monthly.
I've never seen that photo to the left with that, I don't know if it's a sarape or that embroidery. Yeah. I've never seen that portrait of Selena.
Yeah, I think that was, and I'm not exactly sure. John told me that he had a jacket and she wore it for the picture. The other thing that's a little bit hard to see is these are quite close up, and so there's some detail of the Majestic Theater, some of that kind of elaborate detail that you're seeing in the background. One decision we made for these more intimate portraits again was that we were going to make these kind of small scale. So these are really roughly portrait size. I would say maybe 12 by 14 or 16 by 19. So they're not huge in our current exhibition.
Hey, Kate, quick note. I believe we got the video. If we can see, we can play the first video. If Ruby can bring that up, and then.
Okay. So
let's give it a try.
Yeah.
I think she can
do anything different.
Just stay on. I think she can pull it up.
Okay.
Let's give it one moment. It's the behind the scenes from your YouTube. Let's see. Let's give it a. I think it's loading. And if we can't play this video, we'll have this link directly on our website.
Yeah.
KansasCityMuseum.org. It looks like we could not bring it up, but we'll have a link directly to that video, and then we'll post it on our Facebook page as well.
Okay. Well, I'll set up the video. So one of the things that we do at the McNay is we really take a lot of video footage of behind the scenes. So sometimes we set up a time-lapse camera to capture everything that's happening in an exhibition space behind the scenes. We can't have sort of photographers and multimedia in and out of exhibition spaces, but we can sometimes set up a camera and capture a lot of that content. So that is what we did. We captured some content related to the installation of this exhibition, and then we created a video afterwards. And that was one thing that really brought a lot of attention to this exhibition at the McNay. I think partly the excitement over Selena, and then of course her music, and then also kind of seeing the exhibition come together in a behind the scenes way was real attractive to visitors. So I just want to say that I have really appreciated getting to see visitor engagement with this exhibition. People are posting about it on social media with a lot of frequency. You can see the size of some of the smaller exhibitions here, some of the smaller photographs, sorry, here in the space. And I'm just going to read a short quote from this I couldn't help but feel so small in comparison to her beauty. She's beautiful. More importantly, she has my brown skin and my brown hair. As a kid, I would avoid going outside so that I wouldn't get darker, and I would see my mom's green eyes and fair skin, and I wished I came out looking like her. I wish I could tell that little girl to soak up all the sun, and that Van Morrison didn't write that song Brown Eyed Girl for nothing. I saw myself in what I see looking at her, Siempre, Selena, Brown Girl Magic. So I really loved this response that a visitor shared with us. I love that the exhibition has spoken to our audience. And I think that it makes me very proud to get to share these photographs with our community, but also for me as a educator, it always really makes me proud to reach new audiences. So in my mind, there's something special about this exhibition because I think it has really resonated with our San Antonio community. I
love how it allows for story sharing, or hey, sharing your experience with Selena. I'll share mine. I remember I was 10 years old when she passed away. It was April Fool's. Like, it's not really true, but I don't think I've shared their story. But I took a pair of jeans and I scribbled Selena and I was doodling on them in hearts. I did cry when I was 10 years old when she passed away. But I mean, she did have a small impact in me growing up in West Texas. But I'm sure everybody has their own special memory. If you do have a memory of Selena, drop it on that Facebook comment and we can read it out loud if you guys feel comfortable. So that's my experience.
Yeah, I love, Paul, thank you so much for sharing that. I love hearing people's experiences. I will say that I grew up also in Texas in kind of the hill country area. And one of the things that I loved about Selena's music was, again, broad appeal. It was something that my parents listened to, but it was also something that kids in my school listened to. So I thought that was really, really powerful. And then, of course, everybody was really heartbroken when she was killed. And the fact that her crossover album came out so shortly after that, I think that was one of those experiences where I really listened to that music, and then even as an adult have shared that music with my kids. And again, sort of passing my love of Selena and her music through the generations.
Oh yeah, generational. Like my sister, we still play Bidi Bidi Bom Bom during the holiday season, and she has her grandnephew, and so it just multi-generational that she still is with us. 26 years later, here we are. I can't imagine what she will be doing now.
I know. I think
2021. So
I think it's so important to be thinking about. I was just going to share one of the, I think that all museums have really had to be very creative in pivoting to new models and sharing new types of experiences. So one of the things that we did during the closure, this was, I think, in December, the museum was open, but really not any in-person programs. And so we did a virtual cumbia class. We taught, we hired actually dancers to teach cumbia, and people could register for it. We taught it where you took the class at home, but the instructors were in the Selena Forever exhibition. And it was cool to get to see this cumbia tradition also passing down generation to generation. So I did ask Aria's Nana if I could share this note that she sent us, but she was thankful for the cumbia workshop. She did share a video of her granddaughter Aria, who was dancing cumbia and was really excited about signing up for the workshop and then getting to do it. Aria, I have to say, had a cheering section of her family rooting her on as she was learning to dance some of the cumbia steps. But I'll just say it wouldn't have happened without Selena Forever. So I was really excited to share this program. And I hope that we do another cumbia night at the McNay on the grounds when it's really safe to gather.
I would love to be there. I believe I always think about the experiences of the exhibition. How do we layer that with programming? I always think about how the exhibit should touch on your sight and your sound and your smell, and all those just augments the experience for the visitor. So one photograph can have lots of programming or events surrounding that. So I think that's always great to work with different departments and make that happen.
Totally. I couldn't agree with you more. That multi-sensory experience is so important. And then I just have a selection of social media posts I captured. This was not exhaustive. I was just thinking about, how can I communicate to an audience outside of San Antonio what some of the visitorship to the exhibition has been like. And so I wanted to show some of what I had seen on social media with the different Selena images. It's hard to tell. In the image on the far left where you see a red curtain, we actually did create a little photo op station that mimics that photo studio. So if you wanted to, you could come and make your own photo pose like Selena with a red curtain and a checkered floor. But I just captured these few from social media beforehand.
I have one comment from Annette. She says, our memory was when she came to Kansas City and we took my son and my daughter, Selena, who was named after her, to see my sister Patricia, friend Juanita.
Oh, how cool. That would have been wonderful. I never got to see her perform live.
Neither did I. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Annette.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. What a special memory. And then I wanted to show a picture of the photographer, John Dyer. He, like I said, he's a San Antonio photographer. I think he lives out in the country, but he has taken pictures for Newsweek, for Texas Monthly, Time Magazine. He's done some spreads in Elle Magazine. And he's actually written 3 books, including one on conjunto. And so I'm showing a picture here with Selena. As I mentioned, he photographed her twice, once in his photography studio, which is kind of in the downtown area of San Antonio, and once at the Majestic. And I believe the one in 1992 was for Más Magazine, which is not a magazine that's around any longer. And then, of course, the ones in 1994 from the Majestic were used in Texas Monthly. So, he has been very, very generous with his time. He has been interested in showing these photographs of Selena at the McNay, and it just worked out so beautifully to have them premiere at the McNay with the Fashion Nirvana exhibition. Again, an exhibition that I was involved in. I was excited to see the connection between those two 90s moments happening at the McNay at the same time. And I think the last thing, and again, I have 2 more things. This is not what is the word? This is not sponsored or anything, but I love this podcast, Anything for Selena. It comes from WBUR in Boston. It's hosted by Maria Garcia, she is a fellow, she's from El Paso as well. And it's just such an incredible exploration of Selena's legacy. And also really, it's called a podcast about belonging. So it's really sort of this whole idea of how we form identity and belong, and how important Selena was in the formation of Maria Garcia's identity. So I love it. I think it's really smart.
Yeah, okay. After you told me about that, I immediately found it, and I'm listening to it right now currently. But I love the way she starts about describing the scent of El Paso during a thunderstorm. That exact scent that she described is exactly what it smells like in West Texas when it's raining. So,
could you relate to that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, for sure. Yeah, the trees, they're in my backyard. Growing up back home, my parents are still back home in El Paso. Everybody's back home in El Paso. But yeah, I highly encourage you guys to listen to it. It's a great podcast.
So then one thing that I've been thinking about, so I thought maybe an audience in Kansas City would be interested in what's going on currently at the McNay. So I will say that we decided to extend the run of Selena. It will be on view at the McNay till August, which is a full year longer than we anticipated, which is great. And then it is going to travel to another museum. It is slated to go to Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art in Bentonville, Arkansas. So it will leave the McNay in August. But right now, if you were to feel comfortable traveling or maybe travel this summer. Right now at the McNay, we have the exhibition Limitless, 5 Women Reshape Contemporary Art. So again, we're thinking about these powerful women on the heels of Women's History Month and their pioneering stories. And I think that there's something really, some kinship really to Selena's pioneering story as well. But these 5 artists, Jennifer Steinkamp, Martine Gutierrez, Yayoi Kusama, Sandy Skoglund, and Letitia Huckabee are represented in, each have kind of an installation at the McNay as part of Limitless, which will be on view till September 19th. So again, kind of continuing this story of powerful women.
I love that.
Spring in 2021. And I can stop sharing my screen because this is a video as well, but I will share a link to it. This is Youth Orchestra of San Antonio featuring Isabel Marie Sanchez, and she sang one of Selena's songs in front of these photographs. So I'll share a link to that as well, so that if you want to check it out, you can. Kind of a tribute.
Yeah. Kate, remind our audience about that exhibition coming to Crystal Bridges. Here, it's a short, well, not short, but 3-hour drive.
Oh, okay.
Bridges is a wonderful museum. I went last fall. I want to go again this summer. I have a good friend who lives and works in Bentonville, so I plan to go visit her this summer. So remind us when's the goal to have it on display?
So it opens in September in Bentonville, Arkansas at Crystal Bridges, and it will be up through the fall, maybe into January. And it will be these 3 images that we looked at, plus the 2 smaller ones. And then one benefit of seeing it in Bentonville is they're adding about 3 images as well. So you'll see a couple of other photographs that we did not have on view at the McNay if you go see it in Bentonville, Arkansas.
Are the 3 images part of their private collection, or they acquire on loan, or do you know where those?
No, so they're also by this photographer, John Dyer. We worked together and made a selection of 3 additional ones. They have their space they're showing. I should have said this at the beginning. We kind of affectionately referred to the space where we showed Selena's images as the Selena Chapel, because it's kind of in a octagonal space. It's kind of intimate, but the space that they're showing their Selena photographs by John Dyer is a little bit bigger. And so they wanted to be able to add a few images to the exhibition.
Great, awesome. Okay, a question that came in, any chance that you'll do a virtual tour of the exhibit for people to see?
From San Antonio, live? We could do that. We could do that. We have done some recorded type tours, but we could definitely do a virtual tour. Thanks for the encouragement. We'll put it in the schedule.
Yeah, that's what we had to do. We had to pivot, like every other museum, on how do we become virtual. And last year, our Denise Morrison put an exhibit called Pomp and Ceremony in preparation for the election. And so it was beautiful gowns of inaugural balls and different items that people wore. And it was a short run, but we did a little pre-recorded video, and now we can replay it. So if someone was asking about if you guys are planning on doing a virtual kind of tour of some of those portraits.
Yeah, I think we will. We've done some video content, but we haven't done a live virtual tour. So that's a good idea. Thank you.
Another question, Kate, for you is, how long did it take to install?
It was really brief, actually. So the photograph, as I mentioned, our exhibition has 5 photographs, and then we do have, like I said, a small photo op area. So, and we have an incredible prep team. So it probably took them a day, maybe 2 days for the installation.
Great. Someone's asking if you can share your screen again and show us those portraits again, especially the one with her busti that she was implementing.
Yeah, I sure can. So the one here, the background, the curtain, this is kind of the photo studio area that we recreated at the McNay. And so I mean, I was thinking that kids would want to pose like Selena, but you know, everybody wanted to pose like Selena. So it's kids, it's grandmas, it's everybody. And then the photo that greets you when you walk into the exhibition. So if you enter the Octagon area at the McNay, this is directly in front of you. And this was kind of the subject of that social media post, just really the person really being able to see themselves represented. And then this one, I don't know the origins of this checkered jacket, sort of a leather checkered jacket, and again, sort of this embellished bustier top. I think it's different than the one we see.
I think so, yeah.
They're all three different.
Not so different, yeah. Oh yeah, the little rhinestones are different.
Yeah, and so the photographer John Dyer said that Selena came to his photo studio in driving a hatchback car and had it all full of different kinds of things she wanted to experiment with. So she changed several times. She tried different things. They kind of were in collaboration in creating these photos. So he shared a really positive experience of working with her both times, but particularly that first time, just a lot of excitement and charisma about working together.
Did John share anything, like any her favorite songs of hers or anything that was like unique that got your attention that from his story sharing?
I didn't ask him that. I know that, you know, I feel like everybody has their favorite Selena song. Have you shared what yours is, Paul?
I would say it would have to be, there's so many. I would think Bidi Bidi Bam Bam is the one, followed by Como la Flor.
Como la Flor is mine, but I feel like a crowd pleaser, huh?
Yeah, no. And then also, I love, I think I always remember her in the Houston Astrodome with that purple jumpsuit, whatever she called it back then, and that one song. That's always like a good memory of her and the Astrodome in Houston, Texas.
Yeah, that was an incredible moment.
Let me check if anybody's else have any questions for you.
I'd love to see it.
I want to be just like Selena. Thank you, Jessica. Thumbs up for the exhibit coming to Crystal Bridges. Thank you, Sue. Lupita mentioned that she was amazing and she got to see her in El Paso when she came to El Paso, Texas.
Oh, how cool! So there's some fellow folks from El Paso and Kansas City. I love that.
Oh yeah. And then right here, just came in, Deanna. My daughter saw her in KCK at the Rainbow Center when she had just started to become famous.
How cool.
Question for you. Have you been to Corpus Christi to see her tombstone? I have not yet.
I have been to, yes, I have. I've been to Corpus Christi several times to see her statue and to, there are several sort of Selena murals and places with Selena memorabilia. When I went, I wanted to try to go to the museum that is there. In fact, I mentioned the radio host, Maria Garcia, went to visit the Selena Museum and got to meet with Selena's family. But it was at the time that I was trying to visit. But anyway, yeah, I haven't been to the Selena Museum in Corpus, but I've been to some of the other spots in Corpus that are famous for their Selena connections.
Great. Someone's asking if we can put back that podcast information. We can.
Oh yeah.
Share that screen back. I want to make sure people.
Good. I again, this is not sponsored, but I love sharing about this podcast because I think it is so good.
So let's see that there, and I'll read some more comments coming in. Debbie said, I saw Selena at the Tejano Music Awards in San Antonio in early 1990s, in the 90s.
Where, what? I wonder where that was, Debbie, because At one, I think the Tejano Music Awards at one time were recorded at the McNay one year, and I wonder where they recorded them when you saw them, Debbie. Maybe I'm mistaken, but yeah.
Let's see if she responds. Let's see if she responds. That's a good question for Debbie. I don't know.
That's cool.
There's a good question from Camille. How do you account for the enduring popularity of Selena?
That's such a good question, Camille. Thank you for that. I don't have a real detailed answer. I will say that I think it is the combination of her music, her charismatic and really beautiful image that continues to inspire, and what she represents for people. So I think that people saw themselves in her, and also continued to see themselves represented by the music that she made famous.
Yeah, I think Jessica here just been a comment too about she did a good job of breaking down the barriers, being one of the first bilingual kind of making through that scene.
Yeah. Who Paul, who shared that about
Jessica Montoya?
Jessica, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. This idea of being not only bicultural, but sort of, I love in the podcast, it talks about how she sort of owned the fact that she was not a native Spanish speaker, and made humor out of that component. So she was really down to earth and relatable in that way. So I think that is true, and I would couple that with what Jessica shared about breaking barriers.
Right. No, I would agree. Yeah, I think in the podcast too, is like people related to her and somehow they saw themselves in Selena, being a Latinx woman who's dark complexion, dark skin, or dark hair, and like, hey, if she can do it, we can all do it.
Totally. I couldn't agree more.
A couple of comments here. Also, Diana said, we visited her gravesite in Corpus Christi, Texas, the boutique in San Antonio, and viewed her clothing at the Hard Rock years ago in San Antonio. Yes. Is there still the boutique still open, or is there?
No, sadly, so the boutique is not open, although it is probably less than a mile from the McNay. It was on Broadway, and I could ride my bike between the McNay and where the boutique was. So it's no longer open. I think it closed the early 2000s. But there were your participant has a good memory. There were some garments of Selena's at the Hard Rock Cafe. In fact, we reached out to the Hard Rock Cafe in San Antonio to see if they would potentially lend to our 1990s Fashion Nirvana exhibition. And they were unwilling to lend the Selena garments. But I think we really got much, the next best thing, or maybe even better, with getting to have these photographs on view by John Dyer. But that I knew about those garments at Hard Rock Cafe, and I was hoping to get to borrow those as well. We asked, but they were not.
Of course, you can only ask, and if for whatever reason that's not, yes. Okay, is there a Selena museum?
Yes, in Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi. Okay. Do they show artifacts or garments or?
Yes. So, in fact, recently Selena was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Grammys, and so I saw a video clip where Selena's sister Suzette had the Grammy that she won within her lifetime, and the one that she just was awarded in 2021.
Great. Looking through here, the feed. Let me see if anybody else that I miss. What's your favorite portrait from John that you have on display?
Oh, I love this one. I love the one where she's really smiling, where it seems so authentic. And, I think that's the beauty of photography, is you catch the things that are intentional, and then also those improvised moments. So to me, this looks like one of those kind of authentic and improvised. It's not necessarily posed, and I think there's something really telling about that.
Oh yeah, I think also like just the connection that John had with Selena. I think it's always also the photographer, how he or she captures that moment. At the museum on the third floor, we'll have a story sharing gallery where we want to profile, to begin with, 21 different cultures of Kansas City. And so just watching the photographer interact with that person, and when he was able to capture that photo, the photo is black and white, so it's a beautiful portrait of those individuals. So just the connection, the rapport that comes about from the photographer to the subject, I guess, or the person, I think that's important too.
I think that's important.
Let's see. I have another question for you, Kate. Will these images be permanent to the McNay?
No. Well,
She said, I hope it's not a dumb question. It's not a dumb question.
No, it's a great question.
Great question.
So it's a great question. I don't know the answer. Right now they're on exhibition, and then the McNay is actually the museum that's organizing the loan to Crystal Bridges, and maybe it will go to another museum too. So at the moment, we're working on the exhibition part, but I think we'll have a relationship with John Dyer for a long time, and I don't know if we'll show them again, maybe, but at the moment they're not part of the McNay's permanent collection. It's one of those things where at the McNay and other museums, photography sadly is not one of the areas of strength. We are really strong in prints. We are really strong in modern and contemporary painting. And we have not been a museum that widely collected photography, although maybe that's shifting. But at the moment, they're not part of the McNay collection. We'll just have to see.
Okay, in that process, did you work with John to select the photos, or how did the curation of the photos, which is really important, was it you working, or did he come with a portfolio of, hey, these are the ones that I want to show, or tell us about that process?
Sure. Well, I mean, it was just the most pleasurable process almost of the whole exhibition. So as I mentioned, we were envisioning this Selena moment to happen in tandem with Fashion Nirvana. We wanted them to open about the same time. But as I looked at John's photographs and I thought more and more about the process, I realized that I wanted to show more of the Selena images than would likely fit in the Fashion Nirvana exhibition, or at least I wanted to give them greater space. And so I approached, we worked with between me and our curatorial team, talking about maybe having it close to Fashion Nirvana, but not right within that exhibition. So happened that, as I mentioned, that octagon space, let me see if you can see it in a different photo. In one of the videos, in the video link, you'll see the space that I'm talking about. So having the photographs in that space meant that we could give them a little bit more of a geographic footprint. And then also it meant that we could have them larger than they might have been otherwise. And so I knew we wanted an exhibition of about 5 photographs. I was thinking where between 3 and 6 was kind of the range I was thinking about for that particular space. So I knew about the number. And then John allowed me to look through a bunch of proofs. And so there were some that were, she was posed in different ways. There were some where she was wearing different garments, but I really wanted to show a range. I was interested in the fashion part. So I wanted to show images where it looked as though you could really see her interest in fashion. And then John had proposed maybe we add, let me go back to it, photographs from the second shoot. Now there were fewer of these.
I love those. Yeah.
They're really thoughtful and contemplative and kind of meditative. So there were fewer of these to choose from, and I chose these two because, again, I thought it just was such a good counterpoint to the earlier photographs.
No, yes, I agree with you. Yes, these are, yes.
So so I decided from the first photo shoot, we would do the enlargements, and then from the second photo shoot, we would do these smaller, again, kind of more contemplative photographs. And I was interested in just kind of showing, one of the things I love about Selena is just how layered she was, and so I wanted to show some photographs that sort of showed that range in term. We're all complicated people, and I wanted to show some photographs that showed that range.
The complexity, yeah. Someone asked me a question. Patricia's wondering if the Kansas City Museum will ever show these portraits. The answer is maybe. We do have space in our galleries for rotating or special exhibits. So in the near future, we could partner with the McNay and bring this traveling exhibit to Kansas City.
Yeah, let's have your people talk to my people.
Yeah, we can. Patricia, I'll make a note here. I'll talk to our director of collections and our executive director. But I love that idea. I think being the Museum of Kansas City history and culture heritage, it's important for us to layer all the different cultures that exist that makes Kansas City such a rich fabric of individuals, and we're all here together. Kate, remind our audience your website, where they can go visit, check out, and then any other information you want to share.
Sure. So our website is www.mcnayart.org, and that's NCNAYART.org. And our handle is at McNay Art. So if you follow us on social or click on our website, you should be able to find a little bit more information about this exhibition and all of our exhibitions at the McNay. And I hope that when it's safe to travel, you'll come give us a visit in person.
I will love to. I went to UT Austin, so I go visit my friends down there. So I'll make a short drive to San Antonio anytime when it's safe to do so. I'll remind our audience that the two links that did not play tonight, I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties. We'll put them on our website. And then this also will live on a podcast thanks to One Kansas City Radio. So Kate, thank you so much for partnering with us on this special program talking about Selena and your work at the McNay Art Museum.
It's been a real joy, and I'm appreciative of getting to share and reach new audiences. So I hope that it's been something that's brought folks a little bit of joy, and again, looking forward to sharing the exhibition with others.
Thank you, Kay. Have a good evening.
Good night.
For our audience, remember, this will be available on the podcast. We'll put those two links on our website. That's kansascitymuseum.org. That's kansascitymuseum.org. Also, thank you to One Kansas City Radio, who's helping us broadcast this, and also they will put them into a podcast. My name is Paul Gutierrez, Director of Programs and Events. We'll see you next time virtually. Stay tuned for our outdoor lawn concerts that will come up here this probably June, July, or August. Stay safe out there, be well, and please be kind to one another. Thank you and have a good night.